Salim Babu is a strategist. Salim Babu, as much as he's a pragmatist who sets up the team to counter the opposition strength, he's mostly positive-minded.
I think it was a thumbs up from the technical bench as well.
We saw there was a lot of euphoria amongst Ugandan Man United fans for Andre Onana, who had to be taken to Kampala in a pro box because he couldn't catch the team bus for that purpose. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Pulse Sports Recap Local Edition. I'm your host Mark Kinyanjuna. Of course, Niko joined by Evans Onsuru. Tuambie Evans bana.
Niko fresh, niko chonjo. Mambo walala kila weekend.
Najua of course hii weekend kulikuwa na a lot of national team action. Of course over the last 1 week kumekuwa na a lot of national team action, both in terms of the junior girls who are now in the Dominican Republic wanangoja to take part in the World Cup, Kenya's first ever World Cup. Of course there is the AFCON Qualifiers where our Kenya tuliamua tumalize Tanzania. Our director behind is Tanzanian bana, so hakubambika sana. But of course hiyo ni kitu tutakuwa tunaongelea sana. And at the same time, of course, national team yetu inaenda kucheza na Cameroon both home and away, although home yetu ni Kampala, which really doesn't make sense, but we know it's for obvious reasons. So first of all, let's get straight to the point. Rising Stars, of course, wali manage kupiga Tanzania 2-1. Goals by Hassan Beja and Odhiambo and Kevin Wangaya. No, actually it was Kevin Wangaya with a fantastic free kick, and then Odhiambo wa Kariobangi Sharks akafunga bao ya pili to seal the deal. But then of course Tanzania of course pulled one back through a fantastic free kick, but Kenya held on to win by 2-1 pale Dar es Salaam. Personally, I think it's a good start for Harambee Stars, for Rising Stars, who of course are trying to be the first ever junior team to qualify for the AFCON Under-20. By virtue of fact, wana aim kufika final ya Sekafa Under-20 qualifiers. Most of these players, of course, 11 of them are those players who, when you walifika final ya Sekafa Under-18 championships pale Kisumu na Kakamega, of course, most of them since have managed to move abroad. Some have moved to Spain, Nastic Academy, wengine wako Sweden, and of course, wengine wanacheza KPL saa hizi, and of course, it's a good opportunity and platform for them, not only to qualify for AFCON Under-20, but also, should they do well at AFCON Under-20, further qualify for the Under-20 World Cup, which of course is a great avenue for players to secure deals abroad. What did you make of that match yesterday?
Nadhani kwamba ukijaribu kuangalia jinsi ambavyo vijana wetu wadogo walingangana na wenzao wa Tanzania, ungeweza ona kwamba the boys are really trying. The boys did their best. The boys left their hearts on the field in terms of game management, in terms of waiting for their moments. I think it was a thumbs up from the technical bench as well. But going forward, I think we need to be more proactive. We need to be more attacking minded. These defensive strategies is something that Kenya needs to move away from. We need to play some entertaining sort of football. If at all we have to realize our dream of kwenda World Cup, kwenda AFCON Under-20, hizo bigger tournaments, you know. But the bottom line is it was a good starting point for the junior for the junior stars. That is for the Harambee Stars junior side at the Under-20 AFCON qualification. That is for the Sekafa region. And going forward, what needs to be done is they need to build on the consistency so that they can finally top the group, sail into the quarters, into the semis, and finally bag one of the two slots that is saved for the region ahead of the tournament.
But Kwangu, I think they actually play nice attacking football. Of course, Salim Babu is a strategist. Salim Babu, as much as he's a pragmatist who sets up the team to counter the opposition strengths, he's mostly positive-minded in the sense that ungeangalia jana, of course, the Kenyans were trying to push higher up the pitch. They were trying to force Tanzania into turnovers, into forcing turnovers of possession. Hata ukiangalia bao ya pili yenye Andres Odhiambo alifunga, it was after he intercepted a pass while Tanzania were trying to build their play, and then aka set it up well for Hassan Beja of the FC Leopards. Beja, who had a fantastic game stretching their defense from the left hand side, akamrudishia pass, and then Andreas akafunga bao. And you remember at the same time, these boys wakicheza Sekafa under-18 championships wakifika finals Kisumu, they were playing entertaining football that was attracting fans to the crowd. Remember venye Wakenya walikuwa wamejaa kwa hiyo grau sana. I remember Mamboleo Stadium. I think it was only the semi-finals or the last game of the group stages where wali manage kucheza Kakamega Bukungu, but the rest of the games were played in Kisumu's Mamboleo Stadium, and I thought they did quite well in my opinion. I think moving forward, I feel like this is a team that since AFCON Under-20 iko next year match will they qualify, I think they developed a good chemistry enough in itawala waende all the way. I feel like they have the possibility and the capability to get all the way to the finals. But next they'll be playing against Rwanda. Rwanda ni team ambayo pia they are a very physical team. They are very unpredictable. Of course, on their day they can turn up and beat anyone. But beating the host was a good start. What do you think they need to do against Rwanda so that they can gain control of that group of theirs? Ndo wakicheza against Djibouti and then South Sudan wasil kuingia semi-finals.
First of all, I think Coach Salim Babu needs to get his tactical acumen spot on, because and the strategy he deployed against the host Tanzania should not be the same strategy he's going to play against Rwanda. The match against Rwanda is a completely different match, but needs to be approached in such a way that Kenya needs to score fast, because the moment you score fast, you give the opposition a mountainous hill to climb regarding now getting the equalizer and finally getting the winning goal. But scoring fast inakupatia an easy time ya regroup and seeing how to get a second goal and killing the game. Mm-hmm. Secondly, I believe in as much as tumekuwa solid defensively kwa hiyo game ya kwanza, we need to become more watertight. By watertight, I mean we don't have to concede those half chances to the opposition. Hizo chances dogo ambazo dead ball, set pieces in between, in and around the box, zinafaa zikuwe limited as much as we can. And last but not least, I think it is high time we have to play with a clear strategy. We have to understand when to attack, when to defend, and when to move forward as a whole, because it is all about game management. That is an aspect that Salim Babu needs now to bring on board going forward, because Rwanda will be a different proposition altogether.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we've seen the Harambee Stars will be playing against Cameroon. First, watakuwa naenda Douala on October 11th. They'll be playing the third match of Group J of the AFCON Qualifiers. And then they'll travel again to Kampala 3 days to face Cameroon again 3 days later. Of course, Cameroon have a strong squad. They've called up the likes of Onana. They've called up the likes of Brian Mbeumo. But at the same time, Harambee Stars, most of their key players are back. The likes of Michael Olunga is back, having missed the previous qualifiers due to injury. Of course, we've seen other players like Joseph Okumu has overcome his injury problem and is now back in the team. He was on the bench yesterday when Rennes played Montpellier. I think they won by 4-2. And most of their key players are generally back. For me, I feel like they have that capability to at least get 4 points from 6. If they can at least get 2 points and avoid defeat against Cameroon, who are going through all sorts of problems, both on and off the pitch, given their situation with Eto'o, who was given a 6-month ban by FIFA because of interference with regards to the running of Cameroonian football. I feel like for me, if they can stay as compact and as disciplined as they were against Ivory Coast when they played them in Malawi during the 2026 World Cup qualifiers, I feel like if they can get a good result in Douala, against Kampala, they can do better. And considering the fact that that is a game that will be played behind closed doors, we'll talk about that in a minute. I feel like should they get all those points, they'll be in cruise control now, heading to the last games against Namibia and Zambia and Zimbabwe, to now seal qualification for the 2025 qualifiers. What do you make of the Harambee Star setup before they play?
I think it all depends with the strategy that Injini Farat is going to deploy against Cameroon, a team that has been very inconsistent in the last 10 matches. Because I believe Cameroon is beatable. Going by their current form, Cameroon is beatable. But my biggest worry is, how is Kenya going to set up against Cameroon? Especially playing at their own backyard. It is a question of whether the coach is going to deploy an attacking lineup or play with a defensive strategy and waiting for the moments. For me, the most important thing is defense comes first. If at all we have to get a result against Cameroon, inafaa kwanza coach ajipange na defense yake. Kwamba lazima kwanza tuangalie how are we steady in defense. Then we can now wait for our moments. But all said and done, it doesn't mean that we have to defend from the first until the 90th minute. We have to be very proactive in between, look at trying to string in 2-3 passes, hit them via counter-attack, and at the end of the day, I believe getting at least a point away in Douala will be a confidence booster to the boys heading into the return leg that will be played in Nambole, Uganda.
I feel like for me, most of the key players ako nao wamerudi fit. Daniel Anyembe amerudi. I think it's going to be a battle between he and Alphonse. Nani atacheza right back? I feel like Joseph Okumu will partner Johnston Umurwa mwenye amesettle Saudi Arabia sasa. I expect Eric Marcelo Uma to keep his place. I expect Banu Mondi, who is more composed and calm on the ball and better with his distribution and has better command of area respectfully than Patrick Matasi, who as much as is vocal, wasn't even selected for the last 2 games. I feel like Omondi has fully cemented himself as first choice. I really believe he's going to stick to the partnership of Richard Udada and Johnston and Teddy Akumu in midfield. Moving forward, I feel like we saw Masud Juma is back within the squad. I know he's not fully fit, but he's being assessed to see if he'll be ready to play. But for the moment, I think he's going to stick to John Avira on the right. He's going to play Runi Onyango, who has had his problems with Gor Mahia. I think will play on the right. Michael Olunga will play up front, I think as the low number 9. But in that number 10 position, I think he's going to play Duke Abuya because I believe he's a player who Kenya, we proved a good team on counter-attacking situations, and Duke Abuya has good off-the-ball movement. So I feel like that is how he's going to set up that team against Cameroon. And should they get a good result against this team, I feel like moving forward is going to give them a good platform against in the return leg in Kampala, where we are playing our home matches. And lastly, before we finish up, what do you make of FKF's decision to play the game behind closed doors? Because, of course, last time we saw when Zimbabwe played Cameroon at Kampala, we saw there was a lot of euphoria amongst Ugandan Man United fans for Andre Onana, who had to be taken to Kampala in a pro box because he couldn't catch the team bus for that purpose. What do you think of the decision? Is it a fair decision by FKF to decide to play that game behind closed doors against Cameroon, and will it give Kenya an advantage?
I think it is a good and a bad decision in equal measure because playing the match behind closed doors, that means you deny the fans the opportunity to watch live how the team plays. It's a bad decision. It's a good decision because you don't fans sometimes tend to give the players the pressure. So I think Harambee Stars will play with zero pressure. So I think that will be the springboard on how Harambee Stars are going to approach their match with zero pressure, zero tolerance, and I believe it is going to be one of the things that will be at the back of their minds once they finish the first leg in Douala.
Lakini you always need your 12th man. For me, as we wind up, I feel like ingekuwa poa if Kenyan fans would have attended that match because it would have given Cameroon, would have given the Kenya an edge. Kwa sababu ukiconsider the fact that saa zingine hata tukiqualify AFCON 2019 against Ethiopia, mafans walijaza Kasarani Stadium, like walifill to the brim, na iniwasaidia in the end because at the end of the day they beat them 3-0 and it gave them a good platform to eventually qualify for our last AFCON in 2019. So for me, I think it's got both a good thing and a bad thing depending on the situation. But for me, I believe Kenya wako na capability ya ku-upset odds na wajiput in a good position to qualify for the tournament. Now we are really looking forward to qualify for the tournament, though it to pay a good learning process and curve ahead of the 2027 edition on home soil. Otherwise, my guys, that's it from me. Nimekuwa host wako Makinyanjui ama ukitaka Kinyawai.
pamoja na Ivanso mwenyewe.
Until tupatane next time, Kenya way out.
Ivanso in.